Hello fellow riders, today I'm going to be testing the Segway Ninebot Max G2 up a hill. Yep, you heard that right. I'm going to be testing this scooter up a moderate hill that goes on for miles and miles. And ultimately, we're going to be able to determine by the end of this video whether or not this scooter is up for the task. 500 feet in elevation gain, here we come. All right, here we go into our hill test. It is about 90 degrees outside right now. And this is the beginning part of our hill climb. And right now, I am in sport mode, driving about 19 miles an hour. We're at 20 miles an hour, about 856 watts, heading up the hill. You know, part of the reason why I wanted to create this video is I've seen various reports online of people having issues with overheating on this scooter, going up hilly terrain at high speed, and I wanted to test it out for myself. So far I haven't had any issues at all whatsoever with this scooter. I've been driving it for about 2.5 weeks right now, and I've got 130 miles on it so far, so hopefully today will be a good test of this overheating situation. Absolutely beautiful morning today, 90 degrees. It's supposed to be 114, so I figured I'd get this in early. We're at 19 miles an hour, 840 watts, 28 degrees Celsius on the scooter. If you've seen some of my previous videos, this scooter rides phenomenally well. Really good suspension. Lots of travel for bumpy roads, and does really well on gravel and dirt. I haven't had any issues slipping or anything like that. All right, about 20 miles an hour, 600 watts, 29 degrees Celsius. Now, I have the app and the scooter set to about 20 miles an hour max speed. And the reason for that, you know, I thought about maybe I'll test it out at 22 miles an hour, you know, max it out, but it didn't quite make sense for me, you know, because this scooter, you know, it's hot outside. The scooter's air cooled, right? It's not like a modern car, liquid cooled or anything like that. And so, you know, asking the scooter to go up a hill at max speed for a long period of time is really a lot to ask of it. And so I figured, you know what, let's set it to 20 miles an hour, see how it does. You know, great example. You know, if I was driving like a 60s Volkswagen Beetle that's air-cooled, you know, up the I-80 in the Sierra Nevada mountains in California, I wouldn't be doing it at full speed because I'd be concerned about overheating. All right, here we go. We're going to make a left here. And so far, the scooter's doing really well. No issues at all whatsoever. We're at a little over 20 miles an hour. 30 degrees Celsius on the scooter, 600 watts, and we are still climbing uphill. Yeah, right now this weather is absolutely beautiful. I wish it stayed like this all day, every day. We've actually been in the midst of a pretty epic heat wave. And I don't know what it is, like 15 or something consecutive days of 110 degrees or hotter, and it's a little much, I'll just say that. All right, we'll hook it right here. We still got an incline, and this particular route that I'm taking has a 500-foot gain in elevation from where I started to the top. And so far, no issues at all whatsoever with this scooter. It is doing really well up this hill. I'm able to maintain, see here now, 19 miles an hour, 835 watts, 31 degrees Celsius. So temperature is slowly creeping up. It's we'll keep an eye on that. All right. This scooter has done really well on this incline. Now we're heading back downhill. I've got regen mode set to medium. And we're going to head back down the hill now. And once we get to the bottom, we'll turn around and see if we can make it back up the other side. Should be able to do that if I remember this route correctly. Alright, when I release this throttle, the regen kicks in minus 450 watts. So that looks like power going back to the battery. We are at 32 degrees Celsius. Alright, so far so good. Really impressed with the performance of the scooter so far up that hill. Once we get to the bottom of this, we'll turn around and come right back up. And it looks like so far we're about 3.6 miles into this ride. 20 miles an hour, 121 watts. And we are still going downhill from that climb we did just a little bit ago. Alright, we are clear. We're going to go ahead and turn around here and head back up the mountain. So, scooter's 33 degrees Celsius right now. And we're going to make just about the same trip all the way back up. See how the scooter does. We are currently going uphill a little over 20 miles an hour according to the app. Let's see how we do. Keeping a close eye on the temperature here, make sure everything is within range and we don't risk any kind of overheating going up these hills at this speed. Now, I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I clock in at about 195 pounds. I've got a backpack on, some water, so probably in the 195 to 200 range that I'm putting on this scooter today. Yep, there's more of that hill we just came down. So now we're working our way back up. Scooter is still 33 degrees Celsius. We're going 20 miles an hour, 647 watts. We're now at 34 degrees Celsius. And we're going into a steeper part of the climb here. Speed dropped down to 19. One thing I will say with this scooter, when it does warm up, you know, the battery is obviously under the deck, and so when things do start warming up after use, the deck becomes a little warm. You can feel it in your feet. All right, we've dropped into the 18 mile an hour range. Still 34 degrees Celsius. The temperature slowly creeping up. Now, on one of my other rides I did during the day when it was super hot out, it was, I don't know, 115 degrees. The scooter did get up to 41 degrees Celsius. No overheating warnings or anything. It was still running like a champ. We'll see how this one does. So far, we're looking fabulous. Okay, we are back up at the peak. 35 degrees Celsius, we're doing 20 miles an hour, 188 watts. We are on the downside of this slope. And this scooter performed beautifully. So far, no issues with overheating or anything like that. Really impressed with how this is riding. We'll venture out over here. Some of the mountains up ahead here in North Mesa, Arizona. Beautiful views, red rock surrounding the Valley of the Sun here in the Phoenix area. You can see on the left and the right, we've got some saguaro cacti, native here to the Sonoran Desert. Don't provide much shade, that's for sure. All right, we are heading back down the hill. Okay, so the regen brake did kick in there, and that was a little rougher than usual. Caught me off guard for a moment there. Go ahead and turn around. Head back up the hill. You know, so the regen brake, it kicks in when you release the throttle, and it sends power back to the battery, you know, help with recharging. I think some stat that I saw that, you know, regen brakes on scooters will recharge your battery, you know, somewhere around 4% or something like that. So it's super helpful if you're coming down to the wire and you're going downhill and you need that extra range. We're at 36 degrees Celsius. We're heading up this hill at 17 miles an hour. And we'll do more testing of this regen brake, which traditionally is operated really well. Except for just a few moments ago when that regen brake kicked in, it was a little rough, caught me off guard. We'll see if we can duplicate that behavior. Alright, we're going to head back down. Regen brake is working well right now. We'll see. Alright, we're doing 20 miles an hour, 100 watts, 37 degrees Celsius. I'm going to release this throttle, test the regen. Oh, it's good that time. I wonder if I caught it in a weird cycle. Interesting. Keep an eye out on it. We are now at 38 degrees Celsius. Temperature still creeping up. We are going downhill now. I'll give this regen brake another go here. Get up to speed, 20.5, and release. Huh? Doing well. Alright, guess it was a fluke. We're at 39 degrees Celsius. So far, so good. Pleasantly surprised with how well this Segway Ninebot Max G2 has performed on this hill. You know, after watching some videos and reading some things online, I wasn't exactly sure what to expect. Now, we did just creep into 40 degrees Celsius on the scooter, so we'll keep an eye on that. The most I've taken this to is 41. I didn't have any issues with that temperature, so I've seen some reports of 42, 43, so we'll see how this thing does on the rest of the ride down the hill. Yeah, we're still at 40 degrees Celsius. Cruising back down to where we started from. All right, hill test complete. The Segway Ninebot Max G2 did fantastic on this test. Overall, 10.7 miles up and down hilly terrain here, over 500 feet in elevation gain, 61% battery still left in the tank. Super impressed with the performance overall. I was zipping around in many places, 17, 18, 20 miles an hour, no problem whatsoever. The temperature did get to 40 degrees Celsius. On some previous rides, I've gone as high as 41 on some really obscenely hot days here in the Phoenix area. But today we got to 40. Scooter was still performing like a champ. Did have some weird behavior out of the regen brake. At one point, you know, when I released the throttle, it was kind of rough, but I was going about 20.5 miles an hour when that regen brake kicked in when I released the throttle, but wasn't able to replicate that anywhere else. So overall, regen brake has solid performance on these hills. Thank you all for watching. If you're still around, watching the end of this video, and I hope this has been helpful for you in making your decision as to whether or not this is a scooter you'd consider. All right, thank you all. Checking out.